Hey, everybody. Welcome on back. It's the You Gotta Try This podcast with me, with Large. I got Ian behind the ones and twos. He's the voice of God on all of these episodes, and he's also the cameraman, producer, and editor. All I do is eat and talk. So welcome on back. I want to throw out a special thanks to Gaz, who came in last week to do the episode. Gaz doesn't spend a lot of time in front of the camera, and when he does, it's usually for an incendiary reason, where he's going after somebody who works here. So to have him here and just to have like a nice little conversation, similar to what we had done with Frank, the week before, I don't know, it was refreshing, and it's kind of cool to see. Before I get started, I just want to reiterate what I had said last week. If you go on to rate this podcast, wherever your podcasts are rated, whether it's on YouTube and give us a positive on something that you watched, whether it's on Apple Podcasts and you give us a 5-star review, if you can leave us some sort of question in those comments alongside a 5-star review, then Ian is going to cull some of those questions and we'll be able to do basically an episode on people's questions or just stuff that they want to hear about from me and from Ian and from the You Gotta Try This complex. I'm going to give you an example. There was a guy who sent in, his name is Twan, and I've spoke to him before online. We had a nice little back and forth, and he had sent this in. You should do a segment to discuss the 21 Club in New York City. 21 Club in New York City. Went once and it was an experience. Such good history there. That's a perfect question for me. And the reason that's a perfect question for me is because I used to go to a 21 Club every year for their Christmas dinner. If you want to have a real New York restaurant experience, where do you go? People are like, oh, we'll go to Brooklyn and do Luger's. That's absolutely fine. Go to Fort Charles and have like an elevated meal there. Absolutely fine. Any of the Italian staples here in New York, or Arreo is a famous one, is also something that gives you a real New York feel. Keen's Chop House. Keen's Chop House, sit in the same room that Teddy Roosevelt was in and do the mutton chop. All are great ideas. But I will tell you, the most New York I ever felt was going to the Salvation Army dinner at the 21 Club every year with a table full of Wall Street assholes. And it was one of those things where you were dressed to the nines, some sort of suit. I would wear like a red cashmere jacket with a green tartan tie. Everyone was very, very festive. It was for the couple of weeks right before Christmas. And a buddy of mine who still works at SunTrust, his name is Pat Callahan. He used to set up a table with a couple of his customers that I happen to be close with also, and a couple of his competitors from other shops. So it was extremely friendly. And we'd all just get around this table. It was a prefix menu. I can remember I would do the steak tartare, which is one of the prefix offerings for an appetizer. Don't remember, like I would switch around on what I would do for my main course. Then I would do the profiteroles for dessert. So it was a really nice meal, and it was very booze soaked. Martinis flowing like water. One of the customers that Pat drank. One of the customers that Pat would bring, this guy Tommy, wonderful dude. He only drank a certain type of beer that the 21 Club didn't even offer. So he would bring a couple of cases in, and the 21 Club would basically have like some sort of corkage fee for it. And the crux of the meal is as everyone's sitting around in the bottom floor of the 21 Club, a place that was dripping with New York history, in the middle of your meal, the Salvation Army band would come in, full brass band, and they would play Christmas carols. They'd hand out small little song sheets to every table, and we'd all just sit around and sing Christmas carols with the Salvation Army band while we were boozing and eating and having a great, great New York meal experience. So when Twan says, I missed the place, it was such an experience, such good history there. From what I understand, I haven't done any research on this. I'm just answering Twan's question right now. Allegedly, it's coming back. Because for the past 3 or 4 years since 21 Club had shuttered its doors, we've been going to like Smith & Wally's and different places for this Christmas meal, and it just hasn't been the same. It hasn't been the same. If it goes back to the 21 Club, I would move heaven and earth. I would skip my kid's wedding to do that again. It's arguably my favorite meal in New York City, or at least it was. So I'll be on the lookout for it, and I will tell you guys if this thing ever comes back. The Salvation Army band, lunch and dinner, they did 2 seatings, was probably my favorite meal in New York City. And the only thing is you can't drive, because I would walk out of that place absolutely blind drunk afterwards with a bunch of other guys who were also guys and girls. Like, people would bring their families, and women were dressed to the nines. The kids, if there were a couple of kids there, they were dressed to the nines. Everybody was extremely respectful, but it was a good time. So that's quintessential New York for me, I think. And so just by Twan sending that in, I would gladly talk about that for hours, much less just answering one of these questions. Back to Gaz. Gaz put out a top 10 list, Ian, and it ruffled some feathers. People came at me. Oh, you forget where you're from. You don't include Pippins in Brooklyn, or, what about J.G. Mellon's? What about P.J. Clark's? What about all these places? And it wasn't my list. It's Gaz's list. And Gaz will tell you, he's like a migratory bird. His wings stop flapping past Union Square. So a lot of that stuff was in and around his neighborhood. Gaz has only been a New Yorker for a limited amount of time, so he doesn't have any of that historical reference that he may have down, up in Marblehead or something like that. So he put together a list for a guy who goes around the city and eats whatever the hell he wants. I thought the list was impressive. Couple of names on there that I have to try. And yes, there were a number of names that were missed. But that's what happens when you put out a list. You can't please everybody. And I'm sure if he tweaked it, it would have been argued also. But otherwise, good episode with him, right?
Yeah. And then the Fort Charles video, I know everyone was talking about how he wore his hat. That was a big thing that people were commenting on.
So every video we put out on TikTok or social media, there's something in the video that people they're forensic photographers. They go through to find something wrong in the video. I remember I spoke about Bodega before I tore into a banh mi. I flipped the toothpick, and people, they were comparing me flicking the toothpick to like spitting in a kid's face. People like to complain about prices of stuff. I realize that a lot. If I mispronounce a Filipino sausage, people will come after me, and all that stuff is fine. With this one, it was definitively Gaz wore a hat at the meal. And Gaz is a bald dude like me, but he hasn't given up like me. So he wears hats just about everywhere. As a matter of fact, one of the criteria of restaurants that he goes to is that he can, wear his hat there. And if it was like an evening thing, and I'm sure if he brought a date or something like that, he would probably metaphorically let his hair down, take the hat off, because I've seen him without his hat. But it's normally in like a beach-like setting. Somebody else, I was speaking about the lamb chop dish that I had there, and man, they do double cut lamb chops there as good as I've ever had them, and they do it in this lamb jus. And what did Rowan had said, because I'd said jus a couple times, call me, what did he say?
King of the jus.
Yeah, the king of the jus, which is awesome. So that lamb jus had rosemary, roasted garlic, and these tiny little olives. And so everyone had commented, not everyone, quite a few people had commented, those aren't olives, they're called capers, you idiot. And I'm not an idiot. I've cooked with capers. I know exactly, caper berries, whatever the fuck you want to go with. My caper game is extremely fucking strong, and I guarantee you they're tiny olives. And if you need any kind of proof of that, please go online and look at the menu at Fort Charles, go to their lamb chops, and you can see that it's served in a lamb jus with roasted garlic, rosemary, and a couple of olives. That's what it says fucking literally. So there's a lot of people who are sitting at home eating Kraft singles off their fucking couch with no shirt on, who sometimes question whether or not I know the difference between an olive and a caper, and you shouldn't. I think it's engagement, and I'll talk to you about it, but Jesus Christ, give me some fucking credit. My kung fu is kind of strong when it comes to this shit. What else? Oh, we got a gigantic package. Thank you. We got a gigantic package a couple of weeks ago from this gentleman named Costa. Costa was up. He wrote the nicest little note. You talk about how I don't know how strong of a connection some people have to Barstool Sports. I don't understand it all the time because I was never a stoolie before I got here. But there are people who lived and died with everything that this company had put out for a long time and still do. So those old school stoolies are awesome. And Costa is one of them. So he had sent Dave a gallon of that James River barbecue sauce that they use for the North Shore beefs years ago. And I think Dave had opened it up in an unboxing or something and kind of just poo-pooed it or didn't go crazy about it. You fast forward a couple of years and he had heard me talking about North Shore beefs. He had sent us everything that we needed to do, everything that we needed in order to make a North Shore beef. And he not only sent us that, he'd sent us lobster corn chowder because he had heard that Fights loved a corn chowder that his cousin's grandmother made, which I never understood because wouldn't his cousin's grandmother be his grandmother? Sent me like just plain old lobster meat to make lobster rolls with. He sent me a thing of drawn butter, sent me a couple of tubs of mayo, a ton of the James River barbecue sauce, a ton of their house vinaigrette from his restaurant, which is Nick's Place in Winthrop. So this guy, and on top of it, he sent me rare roast beef, slices of white American cheese, onion rolls, t-shirts, hats. I mean, it came in 3 gigantic boxes. I had made it at the bar, and for the most part, people were kind of, oh, it's so nice that you give North Shore beefs this kind of a shine. A couple of people were like, oh, you had to put the cheese on the bottom, Large. Okay, I get that. I'll learn the etiquette. Somebody was like, how can you not toast the buns? This isn't Chicago. We barely have fucking running water. So if you think I'm going to take something that's going to be in my mouth and put it on any kind of appliance here, you're out of your fucking mind. I'll eat cold food for the rest of my life before I use a toaster oven that, Frank might have used for his lean cuisine a couple hours before. So, fuck that. But thank you again to Costa. I mean, he was saying it was a dream come true to see this stuff kind of on Barstool's pages. And it's selfishly awesome for me too, because I like to try free food and I like to, highlight these different dishes from different areas. All right, next. I went on a rant in maybe my first or second episode here about customer service. We went on it about customer service and how it seems like the finer places, sometimes customer service goes way down. Most people agreed with me. A couple people said, no, sometimes I don't know what the argument is for not having good customer service. So as much as I like to bitch and complain about customer service, I'm going to tell you about 2 experiences that I had in this week. The first one I'll go and it'll be a place nobody's ever heard of, but it's called Jovos or Jovos, Jovos. It's down in Brick, New Jersey. Beautiful, unseasonable weather here in the East Coast this week. So my wife and I took the kids down to the beach, a small beach house. And Brick, New Jersey is not far from where we have this house. So we drove over there under somebody's recommendation and I went to a place called Jovos for the Fat Jovo. I'm a huge Taylor ham guy. I know some people call it pork roll. I happen to call it Taylor ham, mainly because I've never had any other brand of Taylor ham in my life. I've never had any other brand of pork roll in my life except for Taylor ham. So I call it Taylor ham. Deal with it. I also found out that Brick, New Jersey is technically in central New Jersey. It's not like South New Jersey all the way down the shore. A lot of people have a problem with that. A lot of people don't think that central New Jersey exists. Okay. Cut New Jersey into thirds. The one in the middle is central New Jersey, and now you know it exists, right? Northwest, east, south, there's central New Jersey. I went into this place maybe the day before. I had sent them a DM saying, hey, listen, I want to try the Fat Jovo. I see that on a lot of your posts. It's done with some sort of scrambled egg. I just want to make sure before I go there, because with breakfast sandwiches, I like to have a runny yolk. Can I get it in different ways? They were like, you know what? You can have it any way you want. And the guy had said on the DM, I love everything that you're doing, or, something to that respect. I said, cool. I'll see you probably this weekend. If not, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I show up to the restaurant within a couple of days. My wife and I had gone there for breakfast. We had left the 2 kids, 2 out of my 3 kids. 1 kid's down in college. We sit down at this place. I order the Fat Jovo. Eggs over easy. Fat Jovo. And then I tell the woman behind the counter, a woman who was older than me, but the type of woman that you would fall in love with right away. It just seemed like the type of woman you wanted to cook for you. That I would also be ordering some stuff for my kids. She said, well, why don't you order your sandwich? I'll bring it out to you. And then afterwards we'll do it and we'll just take care of it all at one time. Perfect. She takes my order, gives it to the short order cook. My wife and I sit down. We get a couple of drinks. I get a Yoo-hoo because I'm a gentleman. They bring out this sandwich. The sandwich is gorgeous. I think it had 10 slices of perfectly grilled Taylor ham, 4 eggs, enough American cheese to choke a horse. I didn't go salt, pepper, ketchup. I didn't go hot sauce. I didn't do anything. I raw dogged this thing, and it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So after we get done, I go over to the counter and I said, can I do these other 2 sandwiches to go for my kids? She's like, right away, blah, blah, blah. The whole bill comes with all the food that I'm taking to go. So I've had 3 sandwiches. One of them was expensive. The Fat Jovo is probably on the expensive side, where my 2 kid sandwiches were regular. I said to the young lady, this lady behind the counter, I'll call her a young lady. And I said, by the way, I don't know who does your social media, but I had spoke to somebody earlier this week. Just tell them I had an absolutely wonderful experience, and that all that little stuff we were taping in the corner will hit Barstool's pages within a couple of weeks. And then this older woman, I just call her a young lady, but we'll call it what it is. She was an older woman, said, oh, Jesus, I screwed up. You know, the guy who owns the place had told me to be on the lookout for you coming in, which I was honored by, because there are pizza parlors all around the United States which have Dave's picture up there like a fucking wanted poster. If this man comes in, make sure you give him the best service and best quality food that you can fucking muster up, right? This isn't apples to apples, but the guy said, just make sure you take care of this guy. So the woman goes, and you even gave me your name large when I had to bring it out. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I'm so sorry. I said, no problem. Everything was fantastic. If you treated me like that without knowing that this was going to be a review, which is how 90% of my reviews go, that's very good for your store. I think it's a very good testament to how you treat your customers. She said, but I can't charge you. I have to give you the meal for free. I said, oh, no, you can't do that. I pay for my meals. Which is fine. She's like, no, I can't. You don't understand. The boss had said he loves your stuff, loves that you come. I said, okay, the big sandwich that I did, with my wife, you can give me that for free. That would be so generous of you. But I'm ordering 2 other things for my kids. I don't want you to feed my whole family. The woman's like, I can't. I'm not talking about this anymore. It was a pleasure serving you. And so I said, okay, that's fine. I put a bunch of money in the tip jar just to sort of make it. I put an inordinate size tip in the tip jar just to hit her up. That's customer service. Not getting free meals, not doing anything, but just the way that we were treated before they knew who we are, and then how I was treated after they knew who we were was perfect, was the Rosetta Stone for how people should treat you in the service industry. So shout out to Jovo's. The thing won't come out for a couple of weeks probably, right? So probably 2 weeks out before you see it on our social pages. And if you're anywhere near Brick, New Jersey with a hankering for some Taylor ham pork roll, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and you don't go get a Fat Jovo, then you're a coward and a bad person. On to Fort Charles. Fort Charles was awesome. It was an experience. A lot of people are hitting me, asking me how I can get them a table for that restaurant. I cannot. Gaz is the one who had gotten the table, and there's a good chance Gaz doesn't know you or like you, so he won't be able to get it for you either. It's just the way that it is. One of the running jokes here is that Nate, who is one of our editors-in-chief, a guy who's going to come in and do this show at some point, has always wanted to go to Fort Charles, and Gaz had told him multiple times, I'll take you. So he was steamed to see me go with Gaz, but that's the way that it is. You know what I mean? I'm just more popular than Nate. We had gone down, we walked down. It's like a 20-block walk, which, I'd rather not do, but when in Rome, right? So Gaz and I had walked down, nice little walk down. The place is like every other nondescript fancy place that you've ever been to. It's in the bottom floor of like a brownstone. You can barely see the sign outside the place if the trees or the umbrella outside is overhanging it. And you go in and you're in a basement. You're in a basement with very low clearance. I'm a taller guy. I'm 6'5", very low clearance, but everything was done so well. All the, decorations and wallpaper and paint was done so well that it had a very intimate feel, a very comfortable, homey, elevated gastropub feel. There was only 9 tables, maybe 10 tables. There are 2 maitre d's. And that can be a blessing or a curse. I don't like when people come over constantly asking you how your meal is, particularly right after you take a bite. There is an art to being a good maitre d' without being a pain in people's ass. I really believe that there is. If you're too friendly, it just comes off as real saccharine-y, sweetie type thing. You don't want it. The 2 guys that we had working with, one of the gentlemen, his name is Brandon, absolute fucking gem. The other gentleman whose name is escaping me right now, again, also an absolute gem. And they were there exclusively to make sure that our experience was exactly what we wanted it to be. There was a person who was sitting by themselves. They went over and sat down with them just to shoot the shit because it seemed like there was a little bit of a lull in their meal. Eating a meal by yourself in a restaurant like that can sometimes be a little bit uncomfortable. And these guys made everything a little bit more comfortable. I had commented on a big glass container of Amaro that they had there and how much I don't like Amaro. Boom. Next thing I know, I had a little bit of Amaro to try. And they were right. Theirs is a little more sweet. I always consider Amaro kind of like the Malort of Italy. Theirs was a little bit more sweet and was perfect digestif. So that whole ambiance around the restaurant is what makes it a tough table to get. You don't get that service all the time in New York City anymore. I appreciate it. And it made me not so mad when Gaz fucking stuck me with the bill, by the way. I'm absolute alligator arms when the bill came out. Make sure you clip that. I want him to be pissed off.
I mean, we talked about that. It was the right thing to do.
Oh, no. And he would have paid it too. Like I grabbed the bill because he did get the table. So I'm going to go soup to nuts. If that's okay, right? Because I think a lot of people have a fascination about this restaurant in particular. I just did Au Cheval in Chicago by myself, sat at the bar, totally different experience. I'll talk about that when the Au Cheval video comes out. But this Fort Charles one was everything that I wanted and a little bit more. We did the burger to start, and having a burger as an appetizer is foreign to a lot of people. It's a perfect appetizer when you have a table of 4. I will tell you that. When they cut a burger into quarters and everybody grabs one, particularly the burger that they do here with the Applewood smoked bacon and the farm egg with the yolk, everything that they did was perfect, except it was just me and Gaz. So we each have a half of a cheeseburger with the bacon and all that kind of stuff. It was relatively filling. I will say one thing. I think the bun needs to be stronger. I had mentioned this when I was talking with Gaz, and maybe if you're just doing it with 4 people and it's a 2 or 3 bite thing, it doesn't come into play. But if you're trying to eat it, put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, it does get a little bit sloppy. So I think that the bun could use a little bit more structure. It's probably the only, kind of nitpicky thing we're going to talk about. So we each had a half a burger. Loved it. Delicious. Half a burger with egg and bacon on it. Then we ordered the prime rib sandwich, their French dip, which comes with, again, like an au jus and this horseradish sauce. And Dukes, who I think you've heard me talk about on the show, he's become like a little fucking cult superstar, told me that the horseradish sauce is better than the sandwich, better than everything else. And he wasn't necessarily wrong. It was delicious. So now me and Gaz then banged down a half of a prime rib French dip apiece. So the meal hasn't come out yet, and we're a half a big burger and a half a French dip in. That's substantial. He had the steak, and the steak was great. I forget what steak that he had ordered. He'd give me a couple of pieces, and no knife needed, cooked perfectly, absolutely wonderful. I did the double cut lamb chops, like I said, and I actually at one point was going to ask the maitre d' who came around if I could get some of that jus to go, because I wanted to make like a merguez sausage and egg sandwich the next day and just dip it into that. As a matter of fact, I think that they should do that because it was that perfect. I had one martini. I think Gaz had a glass of wine. I kind of knew that I'd be picking up the bill. So when I looked at the wine list, the wine list was steep. They had some great bottles, but they weren't cheap. And since it was earlier in the day, we had a 4:00 reservation. I know we weren't going to be going for the gold as far as throwing down bottles of wine and stuff. So we just went with a couple of cocktails. I had a Bailey's after dinner because I wanted something sweet. They had offered to buy us dessert. We had to actually pass on that because we were just so stuffed because we did meat, and booze throughout. And it was enough. So I don't know how to get the reservation. You can Google it, and perhaps there's little, ways to get in there. I know one of the tricks of the trade is to get an earlier reservation. Some people get turned off by sitting down for a meal at 4:00. I personally don't care. It was a Wednesday and nothing else to do Wednesday at 4:00. One of the things that's a benefit for Gaz, as a single dude who lives down near the West Village, he's on some sort of list. So if they have an opening, they'll call him at noon and be like, hey, listen, Gaz, we have a table for 2 at 4:00 today. Any interest? 9 times out of 10, he'll say, yeah, because he can always grab me or Nate or somebody, well, not Nate, or somebody like that to take him down for the meal. If I was to get that call 9 times out of 10, I'd probably say no, because, the way that we schedule our stuff here, I'm either busy with work or I'm back in New Jersey where I live, with a wife and 3 kids. So I think that's a benefit to Gaz having all the access all around the city, and simply thanking him again for being on the show and getting me into Fort Charles. What else do we have to talk about?
Fort Charles, iconic spot. I know you said it was worth the money.
Yes.
One of the questions that people have left, or not people, but in particular, Pat Miscoli, he gave us a 5-star review. He has a question. What iconic spots have you been to that are overrated and which are actually worth it? So obviously Fort Charles, not overrated, definitely worth it. What's something that is overrated, not worth it? Sure.
So I will tell. That's a great question. We probably should be doing these questions beforehand so I could make up an answer. But that one I do have the answer for. And I will tell you that when I say that's worth the money, I happen to have the money to pay for it. But I can understand somebody who doesn't want to do a $600 lunch or whatever the fuck it was, not being able to afford it. I totally get that. So don't come at me. Enjoy Dollar General. So I think that Fort Charles, you're right, is in that stratosphere. I will tell you, I don't know what's going on in my throat today. People who want to go to Rayo's, just know that if you go to Rayo's in Spanish Harlem, which is also a very, very difficult table to get. I used to get the table twice a year. This was my table. I used to get a table twice a year. Back when Nicky the Vest was the bartender. There's an old guy called Nicky the Vest. He used to make like these little martinis and stuff like that. And it was fantastic. And it's also like a quintessential New York establishment where the cops are parked outside. Again, it's in Spanish Harlem. It's right across the street from this park. The cops are right outside with their lights on, making sure no one's hanging out in front of the restaurant. They'll just park there for their shift. And you'll see the waiter or the guy who runs the kitchen give the busboys real trays with plates and silverware and the whole deal. And they'll run out Italian dishes to the cops who'll then eat them on their laps in their cars. Like, so when I went there for the first time, I was blown away. Since I've been there, by the way, I don't have that table anymore because the gentleman who used to give me that table had unfortunately passed away. That's how old I am. I have friends who die all the time. And so I rely on just being invited by others. So I still go about once a year. If you go to Rayo's, it has gotten a little bit more commercialized. Like the lamps on the tables are like the Rayo's sauce jars that you can get on the fucking shelf in Costco or whatever, made into lamps, which I think, is a kitschy type feel to an otherwise legit type place. And the food's just good. It's just good. But I don't know if anyone walks out of Rayo's and says, that was the best Italian meal I ever had. And if you do, I don't respect your palate. It is a great New York experience. Getting a table and sitting down and having a night out and enjoying it for what it is, being able to walk out onto that little, sunk, because you step down into Rayo's, that little sunken patio and rip a cigar, like before dessert comes over. I call smaller cigars dog walkers because they take about 20 minutes like to walk a dog. So you go out there, you rip a cigar with the boys while you're out there ripping a cigar, and the ladies, like they'll come out and they'll run you a couple glasses of red wine while you're out there having a cigar. You can't put a price on that. But the food itself, I think is overrated. I like a meatball that was fried and has some structure. These are baked meatballs. They're soft. That's a little bit of a turnoff for me. And there's nothing there that I consider overly fantastic as a meal. If you invite me to Rayo's tomorrow, we'll have a ball. But food-wise, it's overrated. So that's my thing. Fort Charles, yes. Rayo's, also a yes, but for more than the food. 21 Club, yes, both sides. Had a good meal and all that stuff. And we can talk more about New York restaurants because obviously I love to do it, Ian. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you want more of your questions answered, leave a 5-star review, Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So what we started last week, and we were clipping it out and it did pretty well on social, is I have a Twisted History podcast. We have over 200 episodes, and some people say it's the smartest thing that Barstool puts out. And when I mean some people, basically me. And it's my wife does it with me. Vibs hosts it with me. John Kelly is behind the ones and twos. John Kelly sometimes helps us out here also. So we do that, but we've gone to doing it once a month. I was doing it once a week, but it was like writing a term paper every week. It was just too much. So we do a Twisted History podcast. So I think every week while I'm doing this podcast, we're also going to do a little bit of food history. So here's a little bit of food history for people out there who love history and love food. Do you know what Volkswagen makes more than what's the chief thing that Volkswagen makes? And that would be cars, right? And that would be wrong. So if you ever Google Volkswagen product 199-398-500B and 199-398-500A, you'll see that Volkswagen has been making sausages and ketchup since 1973. In 1973, at their Wolfsburg facility, they started to make sausage, currywurst, so a currywurst, and a curry ketchup. And they had this sold in all of their employee cafeterias and whatnot. And it went from just going from the employee cafeterias to winding up on some grocery store shelves. And they still make it. So the sausages have been described as the most produced of any of Volkswagen's parts, with some 7 million sausages made annually. So even last year, Volkswagen made an exponential bigger number of sausages than they did cars. So if you want a little history of food, Volkswagen makes more sausages every year than they make cars. But get them soon, because I'm hearing now that they're going to one of the vegan sausages and they're trying to phase out meat sausages by, I think, maybe 2026, because we can't have anything nice, even in German car companies. So a little bit of history of Volkswagen and sausages. So what else do we have for you in this episode? And the answer is a lot. I have a guy that I met when I was in London. His name is Big John Fisher. And some people know about him over here, but over there, he's huge, absolutely huge. His social media numbers are off the charts, except for the ones that were taken away. Like one of his TikTok accounts got banned, so he's building that back up, and it's already up to like 300 grand already. So the guy is a behemoth. And all he is he's this heavyset dude from England who orders a shitload of Chinese food and talks about it. That's how it got started. And it went viral. So much so that his whole life is basically changed. So he goes on these DJing sets. He's my age. He's, just me. He's like an old fat guy. He goes and he's like in Ibiza doing this stuff, and he's down in Australia for a week. He's all that. The reason that I met John is because I also cover boxing here at Barstool. His son, Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, is fighting on some DAZN undercards, and he's a good little heavyweight. I think he's, prospect now because he's a young kid, but I like everything that I see about this kid. And I've had the pleasure of interviewing him twice. The first time I interviewed him was at the Blue Orchid Chinese restaurant in Romford, right outside of London. I sat down with him and his dad and his mom, and we spoke about everything: Chinese food, boxing, life, all that stuff. And that video is somewhere on YouTube. It's kind of a great video because it was one of the best Chinese meals I ever had in my life, and it was in London, okay? I've had a lot of Chinese food here in New York City and beyond. That was one of the best Chinese meals I've ever had in my life. Shout out Blue Orchid. John is in the United States, in New York, for the first time. He's doing like a little whirlwind tour, couple of appearances at local bars and all that stuff. So I'd hit him up. I said, do you mind stopping by the office? We could just shoot the shit about food. He said, I'd love to, mate. So him and his wife came into the office the other day, and my wife was here shooting some social for it. And we sat down and we just spoke about everything under the sun with Big John Fisher. His tagline is the word Bosh. So every time he eats something, I'm eating chicken bows and shrimp bows and curry blah, blah, Bosh. And when he was in France trying food, he was like, Le Bosh. While he was here, he called it BOSHstool. Like that's his line, almost like a Smurf. Like he smurfed the Smurf from the Smurf. So John and his wife are coming in. I will tell you, for people who are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, there's nothing going to be different. The audio is going to run right now. But for people who are with us because they love the way I look on YouTube or any kind of video platform, there isn't a complete video of the interview. So Ian is going to splice in some video from the social media stuff that Annie was taking while she just happened to be here. And a lot of those clips will be what we run on social media also. So and listen, if you're watching a YouTube version of this, I've watched countless interviews where there has no video attached. So we're going to try to make it a little bit better than those. Okay. So without further ado, here comes Big John Fisher, Bosh, talking with me about everything under the sun in BOSHstool HQ. All right. So before we get to John, though, I am very proud to say that we have Uber Eats on board. Uber Eats had come to us because Popeyes had started some sort of new pickle menu. And I had commented on it on social media about how much I'm a pickle freak, how much I wanted to try it. So Uber Eats is partnering with Popeyes to do this whole lineup of pickle-flavored products that you can only get from Uber Eats. Listen, I have the benefit of living in New York. I have the benefit of traveling quite a bit with my job. So I can try restaurants all over the United States if I want to. A lot of people can't. That's where Uber Eats comes in. Uber Eats is able to get you what you otherwise couldn't get and have it delivered to your door, including this new Popeyes pickle menu. So I've been pulling on this for most of the show. It's their pickle lemonade. I don't know how that sounds to people, but it sounds intriguing to me. And I'm telling you, I could crush this. I could crush this because I have that salty, tangy pickle brine to it, but it's distinctly lemonade. And everything else that they're doing on this menu, they have their boneless and their bone-in wings done with this pickle glaze. There's only 3 of those left, by the way, because I destroyed them. I've been popping them like goddamn aspirin. Then their chicken sandwich, which I think people were going absolutely bananas for when it first came out during the pandemic. I think it's the greatest chicken sandwich that you can get from a type of restaurant like Popeyes, where they pump out millions of these a day. Look, by the way, look at the size of the bite I took out of this goddamn thing. I'm not going to bite it again because I'm talking about it. So it's got the pickle glaze on it, which has a little bit of heat to it, which is perfect, has a couple extra pickles on it, and it's on top of a fantastic chicken sandwich. They have fried pickles. They have a couple of other things on the special pickle menu, but I can't stress to you enough, you can only get it on Uber Eats. So wherever you live, go hit up Uber Eats and order Popeyes from their new lineup of bold pickle-flavored products. Try them all while they're here. I believe they're available only for a limited time, and if they do well, they'll add them to the menu somewhere down the line. But we appreciate Uber Eats for bringing this to us, and we appreciate Popeyes for finally doing something for the pickle lovers out there. And with that, let's hit Big John. All right, everybody. So as promised, I'm here with a guy. Listen, I have the opportunity to meet a lot of people working at BOSHstool. On top of it, covering NASCAR has got me with every driver I'd ever want to meet. Covering boxing has got me to meet every fighter that I ever want to meet, except for one, George Foreman, and it looks like that will never happen. Yeah. But while I was covering some boxing in London, I was covering a young heavyweight named Johnny Fisher. This kid is an absolute bull. He's a Romford bull, to be a little bit more specific. His dad is this viral food influencer over there. So when I was over there and DAZN was like, can you do something with the Fishers? I was like, can I do Chinese with this guy? So for people who don't know, Big John Fisher is my guest right now. And he became more than viral, whatever the word beyond viral is, by just ordering way too much Chinese from this one place, and people kind of fell in love with it. And to top it all off, he has a tagline, which is Bosh, and we're going to talk about it. And it's going to be a little bit redundant because John's done this before, but we're doing it for the American crowd right now. So it's a 100% pleasure to be sitting down with John here in New York. The last time I sat down with him was at a Chinese meal outside of London. He brought his lovely wife, Charlotte, right here. His son, Johnny Fisher, is going to be fighting in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. Big John, welcome to BOSHstool, and thank you so much for carving out some time for me.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, meeting your wonderful wife as well.
She's
Annie.
Okay.
She's the boss of the outfit. I've seen that.
It's embarrassing.
Yes, well.
Isn't it embarrassing that we're two big guys? And for people who are listening to this on some sort of podcast network, shame on you. But for people who are watching this on YouTube or wherever else we are, you can really appreciate that I'm sitting next to a gentleman who's also a big guy. Our wives aren't. And yet they push us around like we're fucking kindergartners. Explain that to me.
The pen is mightier than the sword. I know they've not got pens, but you know what?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big you are.
I think sometimes the holster is mightier than the pistol.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean to be too sexually innuendo there, but there is a certain in and out of that type
That's
of
a good
thing.
one. I'll have to use
Welcome
that.
to the United States and welcome to Barstool Sports. What's going on, my man?
Thank you very much. My beautiful wife, as you said, was 50 last week.
Oh, congratulations.
So we decided to come to New York City. Never been to New York City. What a place. Can't believe I've never been. I've been to Las Vegas many times. Been to Texas a few times. But what a city, what a place. Been made to feel so welcome. The food is out of this world. And it's an honour to be here with you, sir.
It's what you make no sense. Like, it makes no sense because everybody who gets the virality that you do has to take their top off at some point. Like, that's where I find, like, you're almost an English Kim Kardashian, except you don't have a sex tape that I don't think it exists. And if it did, I'm not sure people would want to watch it. I would, just to kind of check it out. But what was that one thing that got you from being a guy whose kids were like, Pop, this Chinese order is crazy, we got to tape this, to a guy now who is DJing sets in Australia?
There was one video. We had some videos, some food content videos. There's one video where I'd had a bit too much to drink. Already been out on a good night out with family and friends, and I come in, had a big box, and I went, "Who wants an effing Chinese?"
Yes,
with not swearing.
You can swear on this.
Right, I said, "Who wants a fucking Chinese?"
Yes.
Holding this big box, and it went viral around the world. And from that, cut long story short, I started getting nightclub appearances to student
Yes.
audiences across England and the UK, and then it just snowballed from there. I started doing appearance after appearance after appearance, and thankfully it's been about 3 years now. I've got quite a nice following on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and thankfully people are still liking what they're seeing. So I'm now traveling the world, meeting people and doing things different that I've never ever thought I would do in my life. I'm a normal man.
Can I tell you that I'm extremely jealous of you. I'm extremely jealous of you on many different levels. I'm extremely happy with my wife. I picked up a good model, so much so I threw away the receipt. I'm very happy with my children, that type of thing. But when you're, a little bit into your middle age and you start doing something like this, grabbing onto any kind of viral aspect is tough to do. And the way that you've done it and seem to still be having fun with it, even when you're dealing with haters, which I know is sometimes something that people take very seriously. The brightest content makers here at Barstool, I use Francis as an example. He reads one or two negative comments and it wipes out the 100 that go before it. So there's different things for guys in our generation that we're dealing with now online, but you play it perfectly. You land the triple Lutz consistently without ever dragging the toe. What keeps you so even-tempered?
Let me tell you, I've worked hard all my life.
Yes.
Family business, I've worked 15, 16 hours every day for little or no reward, kept a roof over our head, kept food on the table. So I'm doing things now that I love and enjoy. Meeting people, doing this is crazy for me. So I do get the odd hateful comment, more than the odd one. But as you say, the love far outweighs the hate. I only highlight the hate for the people that have no voice.
Yeah.
Because you know, when you're overweight, a lot of people do get abuse. They do get a lot of vitriol online. I mean, I used to be super fit. I've been fit all my life.
I've seen pictures.
I've been fit all my life. So it's only the last 10 years I've not been fit. So I can remember being fit. I can now, I'm not fit. But it doesn't give people the right just to say what they want to say just because you're fat.
Yes.
All right. The basis is I'm fat. I'm overweight.
Right.
But it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean you can just have a go without any comebacks. But I don't care less one bit because I've been fit. I'm now fat. I don't care. But I do it for the people without a voice.
I don't give a fuck what you look like, John. Like, that's the whole deal. I would like to go online and maybe be a mean commenter to people who are pieces of shit. Yeah. But we'll get into it with your son right now. Yeah. So Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, is a contender. He's a heavyweight contender that I've seen fight a couple of times. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him, I believe, twice. And every time I have, this is a respectful, sensible, well-spoken. The kid is an absolute gem, which means that you're a good father. And I don't know your other children. It just means that you're a good father. I've met your wife, and the ball busting that you two guys have between is very similar to what I do with my wife. Yeah, I believe in my heart that you're a good husband. Yeah. And you seem like you're just a fucking good guy. So I can never understand why anybody would try to point their vitriol towards people, because I'm a very good person myself. Some people say I'm the best. I should be canonized as soon as I pass away any day now. But it just, I don't know. I don't know where the hate comes from.
I don't see myself as a good person or bad person. Everyone lives life differently.
Wait, do you have any skeletons? Have you been to Diddy parties?
No, all I know is from my point of view, as soon as I had children, my life became my children. I love my wife dearly. I believe once you're married, you should work as hard as you can to keep that marriage going.
Yes.
And as soon as you have children, you should do your best. I know it doesn't work out every time, but that's all I am. A normal family man who's done his best day in, day out with the help of my wife, because she's done exactly the same for our children. And that's what I said. We was in Dubai last week. We're now in New York. We're both in our 50s now. It's a little bit of time for ourselves. They're pretty much grown up. We've got a 16-year-old daughter still needs a bit of attention. But it's a bit of our time now, myself and my wife. You know? And
you mentioned casually you're in Dubai last week, all this stuff. Where have you been as a direct result of the popularity that you've gained doing this food content?
Well, I leave here. We go to the French Alps. I've got a DJ set in the French Alps.
Slow that down, Ian. He's got a DJ set in the French Alps.
I come back from there.
I wish I had one.
I go to Hong Kong for 3 nights working. Then I go to Australia again for another 2.5 weeks. I've just come back from Australia for a month. But again, I couldn't do this when my children were younger.
Yes.
You know, now my children are grown up and you've got the technology, you can talk to everyone, because I do miss home very much.
Of course.
But at my age in life and at how hard I've worked all my life, I'm not going to turn down them opportunities either. We're coming back to America in August. We're going to do a 3 or 4 week tour. I'm going to bring my wife, bring Hetty, my daughter. We're going to go New York, Boston, Chicago, Nashville, Vegas, and then somewhere like Alabama.
Okay.
Because we are building up a big following in the United States. And I love the country. I've always loved coming to America, love the people. So why not? You know, you got to do it while you can.
It's exactly what I'm doing here at BOSHstool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could do this. And again, I have an extremely supportive wife. Our wives are both here, so we have to be nice to them. But I have an extremely supportive wife, and my kids are also around the same age.
Yeah, we said we've got a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I would insist when you come back that I take you for a meal.
Definitely. And when you come back to London, because last time we had the meal in the Blue Orchid, I wasn't very well.
I'm talking about that meal right now. Then.
I was flying to Vegas that day, and I was so ill I couldn't eat, and I feel really bad for that.
He carves out, like, I have to catch a flight to Vegas. Carved out, him and his wife and his son carved out like an hour or so for us to eat at their local spot. It's called the Blue Orchid.
Yeah, Blue Orchid.
What town is that in?
Romford.
Okay, so Romford Bull is his son's nickname.
Which is technically in London. It's part of London, like a London borough.
Okay.
But it's Essex, London, East London.
I've lived in New York my whole life. I've never visited any place in Asia. I visited someplace. I'm okay as far as being well-traveled. It's the best Chinese food that I've ever had. I never use superlatives. You guys know that it's my favorite Chinese food. If I say something, I mean it. It was the best Chinese food I ever had.
You did enjoy the meal.
And these guys, I enjoyed the meal with one of the reasons I was there not eating too. Like, that kind of affects a meal a little bit because I go over there to see like the whole show and I wasn't able to see it because he legitimately was sick. So his son and I had tore into him. By the way, his wife eats like she has 3 assholes.
She eats more than me, believe it or not.
Yeah, forget about it.
I'm looking forward to the day when she wakes up and she's hyper-nourished.
Yeah, I was grabbing a chicken bowl and she slapped my fucking hand. And I only say chicken bowl now. That's the way I go.
You like your chicken bowl, didn't you?
I love the chicken bowl. And by the way, the dad who owns the place, I believe his name is Ray, he calls him Stingray. Stingray is off the boat, just an absolute beauty of a guy, and it's his 2 sons.
Stingray's been here 50 odd years, but you would think he was just arrived from Hong Kong.
Yes, exactly. He showed up in a rickshaw.
Wonderful man.
Yeah,
He's a wonderful man.
His 2 sons are sort of front of house, and they do a very, very good job with everything soup to nuts. But when the dad came out, I was like, this is where it's going to get fucking interesting. Showed us the scallops before he cooked them. The food was top notch, things I hadn't eaten before. And I fell in love with it.
It's their whole life, that restaurant. It's been in the family for 70 years. Ray's dad, I think, first started it with Ray. So it means everything to them. It's not just a job. It's their whole being, that restaurant.
Has that, so I know that you're familiar with the guy who owns this shop as far as the pizza goes, my boss, Dave Portnoy. Yeah. And I've seen that Dave has made or broken certain shops, mainly made. It's not one of those things where he looks to shut down pizza parlors.
He doesn't.
Yeah. But if he goes into some podunk little shit ass place and gives it an 8.2, that place cannot buy enough dough for the next 6 months to keep up with demand. Yeah. Do you feel like you've done that with Blue Orchid?
I have with the Blue Orchid. Myself and my wife used to go in there before any of our children were born. I used to go in there with my dad. And they have been through some tough times, like the US, like the UK, we've been ups and downs with recessions, and anyone running a small restaurant knows it's tough.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I don't get any monetary gain for promoting them. They're just wonderful people.
Yes.
Their food is the best. And they have seen an upturn in business, a big upturn in business. And they tell me that. They appreciate what we've done for them.
So you throw in a couple of extra shrimp
we
crackers.
get a few freebies here and there.
Yeah,
so, they look after us, but they have people from Australia, America, Ireland coming on a regular basis.
Because I paid the bill when I was with you, and they really stuck it to me. I just want you to know that. That's not true at all.
I say to them, look after us, but when we bring someone in, strap them up.
So I did a couple of food reviews while I was there, and particularly some of the stuff that I did inside of London did well. Kind of ripped for us. And I find that if I do something just slightly insulting or slightly wrong to the London food crowd, they come at you. And that's all engagement, which I love.
Yeah, so good or bad. Good or bad's good.
I went to Beigel Bake on Brick Lane.
Yeah, Brick Lane.
Yeah, Brick Lane. Yeah. And I had what we call corned beef here. So I had corned beef on a bagel with gherkin and then that Coleman's hot mustard, which is off the charts. And I went at 2 a.m. Place never closes.
I've been going there since I was a 3-year-old boy.
Okay, yeah. So when I call it corned beef, over there, corned beef is just shit that you get in the can.
Beef. Well, it's quite expensive now, corned beef, but corned beef used to be a poor man's dinner.
Yeah.
It used to be the working man, come home from work, corned beef and chips or corned beef hash. But now corned beef is actually quite expensive in the UK.
Right.
But to call salt beef corned beef, you would get...
Oh, I got it. Yeah. And meanwhile, I tried to poke the bear by saying, "Hey, we're in London, home to colonialism," or I said something, and they came more after me for mispronouncing stuff. One of the other things that I tried the last time I was over there for the first time, and you've probably spilt more of these than I've ever will eat, but I tried a Greg's sausage roll for the first time. I fucking loved it. Yeah. I think it's like it's like a gas station food here. It's a guilty pleasure, and I know there's fancy sausage rolls elsewhere. Those things are perfect for me after
Greg's
drinking.
Are massive now in the UK. But you only really go in there if you've got no other.
Exactly.
If you got no time. You know, you go in there, you get a Greg's, but they do very well. They're smashing it, Greg's.
Yeah, it's a quick fix. It's sort of like a bad pizza parlor here. It still gets packed with people at the end of the night who are just looking to grab a slice. Talk to me about like London cuisine. How do you think that it is compared to how it was when you were a kid?
Do you know what? London cuisine is actually superb.
Yeah.
I think it's got more Michelin-starred restaurants than any other city in the world. I might be wrong on that, but I did hear that.
I'll check it.
When I go abroad, look, listen, I love Australia. I go there. You can get a lovely bit of steak and get a lovely bit of fish. But your comfort food is nowhere near as good as the UK. But if you're talking about fine dining, London's got as many good fine dining restaurants as anywhere, I should imagine. Yeah. But I'm not a fine dining type of guy. I want your Chinese, your Indian, your fish and chips, your pie and chips. That's what floats my boat. or a good steak.
I did a pie and mash for the first time.
Pie and mash. Whenever I do a pie and mash video, I've got 10 million views on my last one.
Yeah.
Robin's Pie and Mash, they sponsor Johnny. They're one of his sponsors. We go down there, we do a video. Always gets 2-3 million views. One of them's got 10 million views. I did it with the stew deals, and a lot of the Americans, that's why I've got a lot of views, because a lot of the Americans, what are they? What are the stew deals? And they can't get their head around the green liquor.
Yes.
That's what Americans can't get their head around. But trust me, pie and mash, for me, I'm known for Chinese food. Pie and mash is a very, very close second for me as my favourite food.
I didn't go to a good place.
Where did you go?
I went to a place that I thought was delicious.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. When you come over here and you have what you think's a great slice of pizza or a great bagel or something like
You've got
that.
to know the locals where they go.
Somebody will be like, no, you should have went to here. You should have went to here. Meanwhile, what you had was pretty good. So I went to a place, please don't kill me for it, but I went to a place called Mother's Mash in Covent Gardens.
Yeah, no.
And so, but that was my first.
No, you never have pie and mash in Covent Garden.
And that's exactly what people had said. And the
Pie and mash is a working man's food. You've got to go to proper working man's places to get it.
Every place that I wanted to go.
Working women's or working man's.
Yeah. Every place I wanted to go, like, because my schedule when I'm over there, I can never get out till late, so it was one of those things. But still, taking away from where I went, I love the whole experience. Flipping the pie over. It was the first time. I love malt
always
vinegar.
Flip the pie over. You got to flip the pie over. Chili vinegar.
Chili vinegar.
But chili vinegar. You got to have chili vinegar.
That's not here.
Yeah.
So that's not in the United States. I think chili vinegar will be the next thing to blow up the world here, because I would put it on everything.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love vinegar, but chili vinegar is exceptional. But please, next time you come to London, that's what we got to do. Forget the China.
Okay. Yeah.
Pie and mash. We'll take you to Robin's. 3 pie, 2 mash, stew deals. Then you give it your best shot.
I didn't know if I was going to do stew deals or jelly deals.
I have jelly deals because we're Cockneys, so you brought up with seafood. I have jelly deals every Sunday, but stew deals with pie and mash, I don't have it all the time.
Right.
You've got to fancy it because they are
It's an acquired
quite a
taste.
unique taste.
Yeah.
So even Cockneys might not eat an eel, but some do.
Right.
You know?
So the liquor, the gravy, the
delicious.
parsley thing. So it's this herbaceous, light parsley gravy that they basically dump into the plate in between your mash and your pie. And then on the side, the guy was like, oh, I see you shooting something. Do you mind if I give you this? They gave me like a Cumberland sausage and wanted me to try his onion gravy.
Yeah.
Just the nicest people in the world. And it was a great experience. When I did a fish and chips over there, just walking distance from my place, I had gone to a place called Fishgotech. Everyone's like, Jesus, that's first of all, it doesn't sound like a place where you necessarily go for a fucking fish and chips. You know what I mean? But I had a great time. My first time having a Savoy.
Savoys are great, but Savoys you only normally get in the south of England.
Okay.
You go to the north of England, you don't get a Savoy. But the same with pie and mash, because when you do pie and mash, I've got a lot of northern friends, like from northern England, Scotland. Why you got liquor on it? You got to have gravy, pie and mash and gravy.
Yeah.
But it's not the point. The point of pie and mash is pie, mash and liquor.
Yeah.
If I was having pie and chips, then I'd put gravy all over it. If I was having sausage, mash and onions, I'd pour gravy all over it. But pie, mash and liquor, you've got to have them 3 ingredients.
Growing up in an Irish household, we've always had fry-ups for breakfast.
Yes,
we've always had proper Irish breakfast is what we call them, and it's obviously
Celtic breakfast. I did one the other day. I did a review, and people calling it Celtic breakfast because obviously we're known for full English.
Yeah, for full English,
breakfast, but it's pretty much the same.
I think it's almost
Irish.
exactly the same.
Apart from the sausage, I think you have lawn sausage. You can have a square patty instead of us. We have like normal sausages.
Yeah, I like English sausages. I love black pudding. I like white pudding to a certain degree.
White pudding was lovely. I had some the other day for the very first time, and I thought it was exceptional.
Wait, you've never had white pudding?
Never had white pudding. See, again, where you're from the south of England, the fry-up doesn't... Some people do have black pudding, but it's normally not black pudding. We normally have ash browns, bubble and squeak.
Yes.
Bacon, sausage, beans, tomatoes, fried egg. But the black pudding is acquired taste, just like the eels. Some people like it, some people don't. But a good English fry-up or Irish fry-up, the thing with English and Irish, we're very similar. And our food tastes are very similar as well. So you might put little different spins on it, each country, but they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, the Ulster fry is a little bit different. Yeah, the whole deal.
There's little touches that make it different, as it should be. Different parts of the world, but they're pretty much the same.
So I'm trying to stick up for English cuisine.
English cuisine is good. People slate it, but it is very, very good. But the only people that slate it, I think, are the people that are scared about it. You know, if you're confident in your own food from a country, you don't need to worry about other people. Because I love going to new countries and trying new food. I'll be honest. There's certain things other countries do better than us, but there's certain things we do better than other countries.
Sure.
You know? But isn't that what makes the world a better place? Because I think everything's becoming the same. You know, like you walk down the high street here, you could be walking down London.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want New York to be different to London.
Yeah,
I want to go to Ireland. I want it to be different to London. But they're pretty much everywhere's becoming the same. So the only place where we are differentiating a little bit is with our food.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I will tell you, when you do your next trip here to the United States, and you said that you're going to touch a couple of spots, including Alabama.
Yeah.
Perhaps Alabama. My son is at the University of Alabama.
That's what, because we did talk about Alabama. I was talking to someone, they said, you got to do like the deep South.
Yeah. And get some of that barbecue, get some of that, get you in a Waffle House. Just absolutely.
You won't get me out of a Waffle House. I'll stay in there overnight. But we did go to Houston, Texas. And we had the barbecue, obviously. And like the first time I ordered it, you can get 3 meats.
Yeah.
First time I ordered it, I had 3 meats. Second time I ordered it, I only had 2. The last time I only needed 1. You get so much.
Yeah, you find out.
I'm a big man and I do eat a lot, but in one portion, I don't really eat that much. So 3 meats was huge.
Does that disgust? Because here we have the perception, that the European mind can't comprehend why we go so overboard with our portions. And again, I know that you have major empire kind of going overboard, but I think that's part of the allure for you because you do buck the trend. I think overseas, they'd rather have 5 smaller meals where we'd like to have one gigantic orgy where we hate ourselves afterwards.
See, again, when you're talking there, like the French, the Spanish, Italians, they probably like smaller plates.
Yes.
I know some Italians like big plates, but smaller plates and eat like more frequently and less. But we are in the UK and Ireland probably similar to America like that, where we do like a big portion. Uh-huh. Obviously in America, everything's bigger.
Yeah.
So your food's bigger, cars are bigger, roads are bigger, buildings are bigger. So it's going to be that way, But some people bulk at how big your portions are, but I think that's part of the allure. Yeah. You want to come to America because you're going to get a big portion of food.
What have you not? I ask this question for people. What's the best food that you've never tried? And I preface it with saying the same thing. I know there are movies that I've never seen that I'm sure are very good. So the best movie I've never seen might be Citizen Kane or Fight Club. I've never seen the movies, and I don't sit down to do it for some reason. Club. Yeah, and I there are a bunch of. I think it's an easy answer.
Type of film, and I've never seen it.
Exactly.
So it's weird that I haven't seen it.
Well, what's the best food that you've never tried that you're convinced will be good, but you just haven't gotten to?
You know what? I've got to be honest with you. If there's a food I thought that was good, I would have tried it.
Really?
Yeah.
But the white pudding thing that came along so late, I feel like you're experiencing stuff.
In my mind, I thought white pudding wouldn't be nice because I don't like black pudding.
Okay.
I'm telling you the truth. If there's something that I think I like, I'm going to eat.
Okay.
It's only if there's a negativity in my brain that says you're not going to like that. Like, I don't like the idea of sushi, but I eat seafood and fresh fish.
Right.
So why would I not like sushi? But it's something in my brain telling me I don't like sushi.
Have you had it?
I've had it. I take it or leave it, but it's not... I've probably not given it the chance it deserves.
Yeah.
And I'm being truthful.
No, I'm asking
we can be very narrow-minded with our food tastes in our brain. As I say, I eat like whelks, I eat cockles, like whelks are sea snails. I eat eels. But if you said to me, eat snake or eat snails, I'd say no.
Right.
But I'm eating a sea snail and a river snake.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, I was in a Chinese restaurant the other day and they brought out the toothpicks, remember? And all the small little snails, and we were just kind of popping into them, and it's great eating.
But again, a snail is just like a whelk. I love whelks.
Yeah,
whelks,
exactly, yeah.
But I wouldn't eat a snail. I wouldn't eat a frog's leg.
Really?
Yeah.
A frog's leg? No, huh?
No, wouldn't eat it. Wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch rabbit. And I love chicken. I love steak. But I wouldn't touch a rabbit because I've had a pet rabbit.
Oh, is that why? Really?
That's why grew up with rabbits all my life, so I wouldn't eat one. Well, Same as pigeon.
I'll tell you right now, if I found out it was delicious, I'd go home and chop the head off my French bulldog tonight, put it right on the fucking grill. You know what I mean?
No, but this is what I'm saying. It's weird because I wouldn't think twice about eating a cow, and I love cows. I wouldn't think twice about eating a lamb, and I love looking at lambs.
Yeah.
But I can't eat a rabbit. So there's just things in your head that I think automatically stop you eating certain foods.
Is the clip then for me is that John is a fucking hypocrite?
I am a hypocrite. I admit I'm a hypocrite. and sometimes, I'm being honest with you, sometimes I'm an animal lover, and sometimes I think I've got to stop eating beef because I like the cows. When you see them, they're a lovely animal.
Sure.
But then 2 days later, I'll be eating a steak. So
Yeah.
I'm a hypocrite.
Absolutely.
And I don't
We
mind
all
admitting
are.
it. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
mind admitting it. Call
I
me a
hear.
hypocrite because I am, because I do love animals.
Yeah.
I love eating them.
I
as
say it
well.
lovingly. So because I know even if you can't take me, your son certainly can.
No.
But when I first started dating my wife, she was a vegetarian. And it was one of those things where she had
Are
done
you
it
still
just
vegetarian?
No, I
No,
mean, I
you've
broke
been
that out of her
converted.
in a couple
Yeah.
of fucking months. Like it just, she couldn't keep up with it.
But can I say though,
Go.
I'm the archetypal meat eater, but vegetables are lovely. You cook vegetables in the right way. Potatoes, I love carrots, I love swede, I love parsnips. They're delicious, but it's just that monotonous.
Yeah.
For me, I need that variation. Of
Yeah,
the
you
meat,
need
what
something
meat gives
else.
you.
I mean, yeah. What is there something out there that you eat, and you've named a lot of things that you do that you're almost embarrassed? Like I have a guy. It winds up that he had some sort of sugar imbalance, but he works for us, Jenks. You know, Jenks gets up in the middle of the night. And he doesn't remember it the next day, but he'll eat like 6 or 7 chocolate bars.
I think he's making out he don't remember it.
Yeah, this guy's in perfect shape. John, he's built like an action figure. I think he was raised by wolves. He looks like fucking Tarzan. I knew another guy who also would get up and sleepwalk and then just go and eat a half a jar of fluff with his fingers or peanut butter with his fingers at night. And I've been known to make mayonnaise sandwiches on white bread when I was growing up, like that type of thing. Is there anything that's a guilty pleasure of yours?
My guilty pleasure, you got packs of biscuits, like custard cream, niece biscuits, chocolate digestives.
Sure.
Once I open a packet and I've got a cup of tea, we like dunking biscuits in our tea in England. Once I've opened a packet, the packet's gone.
Yeah, okay.
And I do feel bad about that because I'm eating them and I'm thinking, oh, just one more.
Right.
And then I might give a little bit to the dog, and that's my excuse. Oh, I'll give some to the dog.
Yeah.
I'll give him a quarter of a biscuit out of a pack, and I've ate the whole pack. That's my guilty pleasure. Same with a tube of Pringles or a big bag of crisps. Once I open, I can't stop.
Right.
I've got no willpower like that once I open it, so I'm better off not opening it.
That's my problem too. I feel like any pizza is a personal pizza if you just try hard enough, you know? And so if the kids don't get to all of it,
no,
I don't leave
And
anything.
that's the problem with me, like 4 children growing up. As I said, used to be super fit, but my problem was with 4 children, if they left anything on their plate, you know how hard money comes, you know what it takes to put that food on the table. I would never let anything go to waste. So I've ended up eating half meals 4 times over.
Of course.
Probably Charlotte's as well, because Charlotte starts off like a train and she stops. Although lately she's been finishing quite a lot of her meals. So she's doing me a favour, yeah.
Listen, Charlotte is much like my wife, an extremely beautiful woman, and the two fucking...
Are you drunk, Large? Are you drunk?
2 idiots that you're seeing here who look like, fucking the ad for some sort of rehab are no reflection on the 2 beautiful women that we were lucky enough
we
to
have done
marry.
very well.
Yeah,
I've
we
got to admit
totally
that.
outkicked our
But so have they,
coverage.
to be honest. You know what I mean? Trust the process, as I say to Charlotte. Dubai last week, New York this week, French Alps the week after.
Yeah.
Trust the process. So she's done all right, Large.
She's doing okay.
She's doing all right, yeah.
It's the only reason she doesn't cut your throat when you're asleep. Where do you see yourself going with this? How old are you?
I'm 51.
Okay, so I'm 53. Where do we see ourselves in 10 years?
Listen, I don't really look that far ahead. All I worry about is paying the bills still, having a good time. But I must admit, now you've got used to doing a bit of travelling, I want to carry on. I'm glad I've seen the world. We couldn't do it when the kids were younger. We couldn't do it when I was younger because I was working too hard. And I wouldn't have been able to have the time off work. So now I'm 50, up for the next 10 years, travel the world as much as we can, meeting as many nice people as we can, making friends. And if it carries on like that, I'm not after riches. I don't need to be a rich man. As long as I can pay my bills, do some travelling, I'll be a happy man.
But it is also nice because when we walked in, I was speaking to you guys and I said, where are you staying? And you said you were staying in one hotel, but the manager of the hotel had said, you know what, let's put you in not a better room, but actually just a step up in a hotel.
An owner of a good hotel has come on and said, why don't you come and stay at our hotel?
Yeah, so it's like one of those perks that no matter how much time you would have had when you were a working man, traditionally as a younger man with younger kids, that doesn't happen.
No.
So you're traveling in a different way. You're traveling like a stud here a little bit.
Yeah, listen, I am. I'm very grateful of what's happened to me because I never thought anything like this would happen to me. And like I'm still walking around New York City, people coming up asking for photos. You know, I'm John from Romford. I'm walking down Fifth Avenue and people are asking for photos.
Right.
All different types, Americans, Irish, English. And it's madness. I've got an appearance tomorrow night at, is it Bartley Dunn's Irish American bar? And they reckon they've got about 400 or 500 people coming.
Yeah.
So, I'm just very, very grateful that people would want to come and see me, take time out of their busy schedules to come and see me.
I couldn't fill a phone booth with people who want to see me, John.
You could.
That's the difference.
You'd be very surprised. But as I say, I'm eternally grateful for that. I went to Hong Kong a few months back. They said, "Oh, can you come and do a little bit of a signing in our bar?" 2.5 hour queue round the streets of Hong Kong, people to see me, and
that's awesome.
I get told off for saying this word, but it's surreal. It is surreal. That people of all different races, creeds, colours, religions, ages want to come and see you. And it does humble you.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a difficult question.
Yeah, very.
Because you do have a broad palate.
Yeah.
And by the way, to think that a place like London has one specific cuisine is also extremely myopic with the amount of different cultures there. The best
London's
Indian
a melting
food.
pot.
Yeah, it's much
all
like
over
New
the
York.
world.
Yeah. I mean, you can, I say this all the time, you can come to New York and have anything
from the
as
world.
good as wherever you would have it. And I think London is the same way.
It is.
But with all the cuisines that you've tried, this is a difficult question. If you could have one cuisine for the rest of your life.
Chinese.
And whatever cuisine you pick, the people who originated that cuisine are wiped off the face of the earth. Like a Thanos snap. This is going to be something where you cannot just choose Chinese until I finish the question. Because now you have to balance who you wouldn't mind wiping out as a culture versus who you can also
Can I say my favourite food is politicians?
Okay.
And then we can wipe the politicians off the face of the earth.
That's probably
because I think the world would be a lot better place without politicians.
That's the safest answer, and that's the one I'm going to leave you with. Not I'm not leaving you right now.
I wouldn't have Chinese. I wouldn't wipe anyone off the face of the earth.
But you took the Chinese right back. Yeah. I had a Jewish gentleman in this.
Jewish food is great. Kosher food is wonderful. Love it.
Stu Feiner, and he said the Chinese too, I think, at first. I said, Stu, but hold on. You can get back from a certain type of people. Why don't we go German food? And fuck the German. I don't mind. I buy Chinese. You know what I mean? So it's a wild fucking question to ask.
Listen, and a few people would probably say yes, but a German food. I love German food.
I got to be honest.
German sausages are the best.
The answer for me might be French. Because I don't know a lot of French people.
I've got quite a few French followers.
So you do, I know. Listen, so it's one of those things where
if you know your history, the English and the French go
we just talked about
long way back. Just because we beat them in a few big battles, but we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Le Bosch. I can't get rid of the French because of the Le Bosch.
You can't get rid of French because tomorrow you'll be fucking Robespierre looking straight up at the guillotine. You know what I mean?
The French get bad press with English people, but deep down, I think again, like the Irish, we've got a lot in common.
Yes.
And again, it's politicians that have kept people divided throughout history for their own gain.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you get a normal French bloke, a normal English bloke, a normal Irish bloke, there's not much difference.
So when you tell me that you don't eat sushi, or if you tell me that you don't enjoy a certain thing, does that hamper you in some ways when you're doing some traveling? Because if you're in Hong Kong for some reason and somebody wants to take, or in New York, I would take you to Masa tomorrow to sit down and do the omakase. I feel like you're missing out on something when you.
I would come if you said let's go. I would come and follow your lead and try it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
My mind is open to trying anything. It's whether I'd enjoy it or not. That's a different thing. But I would enjoy. Listen, we was in Dubai and we had the pleasure of Dubai's biggest food blogger took us to a hot plate place. Hot pot.
Hot pot. Yeah.
Hot pot.
Those are great.
And I didn't really enjoy the process. I love Chinese food. This is traditional Chinese food,
cooking,
but I didn't enjoy the process of cooking it myself. But we had a great night. Great people.
I agree.
Sometimes the food is secondary when you're on a night out. Obviously you want the food to be good, but if you're with the right company, the right people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So what would you like to try? If you came in, like, is there something in a country that you would, like, I want to go back to Germany and I want to have a slaughter bowl. I want to get that rush back from having a slaughter bowl when I was hungover in Frankfurt. I don't even remember the year. I got to go back and do that.
Listen, that'd be great, going to a German beer keller. I love all that. With a name like Fisher, I've probably got a bit of German in me somewhere.
Right.
But you know what I would like to do? And it's something that never entered my head, really. I was lucky enough, we do a lot with England rugby. So I did a lot of food tasting at Twickenham with the food stalls. And the best food I had was the South African street food.
Really?
Now, I'd never say this before. It was wonderful. The meats, the way they cooked it. So I wouldn't mind going to South Africa and trying some proper South African food.
That's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm not familiar
totally
with.
Different that you wouldn't associate me with. But I tried all the foods and they was all good at Twickenham. But the South African street food, I was like, wow, that's unbelievable.
Write that down, Annie, because that's going to be my answer now. I think I'm going to do. When you say, so what's your Achilles heel? You say that you would sit down and eat a whole bag of crisps, a whole box of Jammy Dodgers or something like
Jaffa
that, or
cakes.
DJ Steve's Jaffa cakes, all that stuff. The orange ones, right? The raspberry ones,
the
those
orange.
things.
You've got to be the original Jaffa cakes. Sometimes lick the milk chocolate off.
Yeah, so they're
the orange with the sponge.
The biscuits with a little bit of orange, and then it's
sponge.
dipped in.
It's like a sponge, a light sponge with the orange, with the milk chocolate or dark chocolate. That's my Achilles heel. Biscuits, crisps.
What about candy? Because when I go to any store, if you go to a bodega here or a deli here, there's a limited candy counter with the same exact 10 candy brands that I've been eating since I was a little kid. You go, as soon as you get off the plane in London, in Heathrow, and if you go into anything there, it's overwhelming the amount of fucking flakes and whips and pastels and you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what to get, the King bars and this and the that.
For after our Chinese on a Saturday night, when we have Chinese at home on a Saturday night, we always have a bag of goodies, don't we? We always go to the sweet shop, what you said, candy, sweets.
Yeah.
We call them sweets. So you got your chocolates, your jellies. But I'll be truthful, once you start eating a bit, you've had enough.
Yeah.
You know, like with biscuits, I could carry on. With Jaffa cakes, I could carry on. With crisps, I can carry on. But once I start eating a bit of chocolate or jellies, once I've had that taste, I don't need to follow through.
Would you go to like an English restaurant here? Or is it one of those things like, why would I waste?
Well, listen, I'm going to the Irish pub tomorrow. That's work. You know, that's great. But I wouldn't mind seeing a British pub. People have said to me, there's a British pub called Churchill's. And I would do. Purely to give them a bit of a... little bit of a...
Yeah, sometimes though when I'm traveling, I don't want to have American food when I'm overseas.
Listen, whenever I go overseas, although tonight we said we're going to try Chinatown, I've got to try Chinatown in New York City. But normally I never have Chinese. I save that to when I get home.
Okay.
So normally I'll give it a little try because people want you to give a try.
Yeah.
But normally I would save my Chinese until we get home.
So plug whatever it is you need to plug, and starting with Johnny, because I can't stress enough that as soon as you meet Charlotte and John's son, Johnny, you'll root for him. He's that type of athlete, right? He's very unassuming.
Yeah.
He's also terrifying. Like I had something where he pushed me out of the way. I might sue him. Fuck it. But like he was
taking his chicken ball.
He's in his right mind. Exactly. That's right. But he's a kid that I want to see with a strap around his waist at some point. So talk to me about it.
Johnny's our eldest son. We've got 4 children. Yep. Johnny, Henry, William, and Hetty. They're all wonderful kids. They all try hard.
Yes.
But Johnny, you don't like talking like this because he's your son, but he's an exceptional young man. He's 26 now. He's got a history degree. He's in the top 2% in the country for his academia results. He's a clever boy, but it's not that he's clever. It's he tries as hard as he possibly can. And he won't stop until he's give everything he's got. He gives his all to boxing, but we all know boxing's a tough sport.
Oh, yeah.
Anything can happen. And he's fully aware of that, but he'll give it his all while he's doing it. And he's a good boy. He'll treat us like after a fight, he'll take us away. You know, he has his moments, don't get me wrong, acts like a sport little kid sometimes.
He can be a prick, I bet.
But but that's to us. But to anyone else, he's respectful. But if you wrong him, I've seen him turn down money with sponsors because they've spoke to me the wrong way. And he's got on the phone and he said, you do not speak to my dad like that. Thank you for what you've done.
You would love this kid,
I don't want your money.
I'm telling you.
He's turned down a lot of money in the past because of the way people have tried to treat him, me, or his mum. He won't have it. You've got to earn money in the right way.
Yeah.
It's got to come the right way and it's got to be reciprocated in the right way. He's a good boy. He's our son.
When's the fight? When's the rematch?
May the 17th. And he got a bit of stick for his last fight. His fight before that, he knocked Babbage out in 30 seconds. Yep. So then everyone says Babbage is a bum. He won his last fight on points. It was a tough fight. He had
he got hit in the ear, right?
He had a blood clot on his ear from round 3. Couldn't stand up. How he got through the fight was amazing. He got the decision. We watched the fight back. He deservedly got the decision. Tough fight.
Yeah.
No one's saying it was a close fight. But the amount of abuse he's got is because people in England especially want to build you up. You know, the most support he's got after the fight is from Ireland. A lot of Irish people, because they can see the fight in him, what he went through.
And they're a little bit more unbiased because he was fighting a guy who was a local legend too. Yeah. Very, very well liked. Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you fight someone like Dave Allen, it's like you've got his fans as well. But you can take criticism, but you can't take hysterical criticism.
Yes.
You know, but Johnny's took it all in his stride. But there's something burning inside him. I've seen it. He's quite off at the moment, isn't he? He's like that burning's there already, which he didn't have in the first fight because it was all very matey. You know, days my mate, we're mates.
It was respectful, yeah.
And you can still be respectful. Always be respectful, because anyone that gets through them boxing ropes deserves respect, even if they're fighting your son. And when Dave Allen gets announced in the ring, we'll clap him, because he's doing something not a lot of other men could
He's a nice guy. He's a good bloke.
And he's doing what he's doing best for his family.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, you're supporting your son. And Johnny has got that fire in his belly. He's a different beast this time around, totally.
Right. I will tell you too, he is, and I'll tell both you guys while you're here, a little bit of a liar, because he said he was going to send me some Romford Bull stuff.
Oh yeah, that's her. That's her. That's not Johnny. That's her.
Yeah. I'm sorry. She's the liar. I'm just kidding.
You was going to do that. You got his address.
Yeah. No,
So why
I will backtrack the lion thing. Johnny had sent me something, and he said, I think he was about to fight that day. Yeah. And I had said, good luck, big man, or something. Yeah. He's like, send me your address. I got to send you that stuff. Yeah. I was like, why don't you concentrate on the fucking fight? Like, that's how nice of a kid he is. So I'm totally joking around.
Once he's your friend, he's your friend.
Yeah.
And he respects you. He was over the moon when we met you in the Blue Orchid. And like, we was on the plane to Las Vegas, and he spoke highly of you. So once you're high in Johnny's estimations, you stay there.
And he's a guy you want with you when you get into a bar fight, because he also has something, And
he's also not a bully or not. He knows when to walk away.
What about the other kids though? Are they kind of fighters too? It's
William, our youngest son, is a bit of a loose cannon,
little scrapper
like that. Yeah, he likes it, but he's a city boy. He's got a good job. So
okay.
And Henry's very quiet. He was good at the boxing, but he was also good at football. So he played for Queen's Park Rangers, so he couldn't do the boxing because it would contradicted his football. And Hetty's the one she takes after her mum. She's the one you got to watch.
Oh,
she's got the mouth on her. Yeah,
right. Yeah. We're gonna have her on the next episode. All right, so this is where we're gonna leave it, because I've taken up way too much of your time. But I can sit here and talk to you forever. Big John Fisher. Catch him everywhere on social media and fall in love with the guy. I will ask you, and you've been asked this 1,000 times, what the fuck does Bosh mean exactly? I forget. What is Bosh?
Bosh just means everything's all right. You've got all different types of Boshes. You can say them in different tones, different levels of loudness. It's just like, Bosh.
Bosh.
When you see your mate, Bosh, everything's all right.
Then
if you're sad, or if you're sad, Bosh. you know something's not right.
He's like a Smurf. And,
I wish I was a Smurf.
When he was in France, it was Le Bosh.
Yeah,
and then when he came in here, it was BOSHstool Sports. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So the whole thing is just extremely engaging.
And we're now in the Bosh Apple, not the Big Apple, the Bosh Apple.
The Bosh Apple, yeah. So it's a pleasure, Mr. Fisher, and I do appreciate that. I'll talk to you, son, before the fight and all that stuff. And obviously, Charlotte, it's very nice to see you guys again. See you next time we come here, and we'll see you guys soon on You Got to Try This.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Johnny Fisher. And like I said, tough to not like that guy. I respect him. I see what his kids have grown up into, and they're beautiful human beings. The way that his wife and him bust each other's balls, very reminiscent of me and my wife. So I'd like to think that John is the English version of me, except he's so much more popular than I am, and he's so much more successful than I am as far as the food influencer type shit is. So I appreciate him carving some time out of his schedule, and I look forward to him, because after the thing, like, we've exchanged numbers and all that stuff, I think I'm going to sit down for another meal with that guy. And we have a lot of people on this show that I don't really know. I've met John now, again, 3 times. I call him a friend. So that's good. So what's coming up next? What's down the road for us here on You Got to Try This? Couple of things, actually. So Ian and I are going to a pop-up on Friday night for Portillo's, right? We're going to be there. Portillo's, which is a huge chain over in Chicago. They do Chicago dogs and beefs, and they do these milkshakes where they throw a piece of chocolate cake in before it hits the blender. They do these cake shakes. Portillo's is great. I've done some work with them before because they were involved with NASCAR with Chicago Street Race. Portillo's is coming to New York as a pop-up. I don't know exactly what it's going to entail. I think they're going to have like mini Chicago dogs. It's going to tweak a bunch of other things. So I can't wait to do that, and I'll tell you all about it. On top of it, we have Chef Greeny coming in. If you guys don't know who Chef Greeny is, if you ever turn on the Food Network, he's all over the place as judges. of guys' grocery games. He competes on some stuff. He's a seasoned chef who's owned many restaurants. He's based out of LA. He's a good friend of mine, so he's going to come in and shoot the shit. So we're going to have him coming up in a couple of weeks. Later on this week, we're also going to sit down with Lisa Ann. If you don't know who Lisa Ann is, just wait until your wife leaves the room. You know who Lisa Ann is. I know you do. So Lisa has a wine brand that she had launched. So we're going to talk about that because it's something I always wanted to do. She's coming in on National Burrito Day. So we're going to eat a burrito together. And also she has a lot of exciting stuff going on with the adult film industry as she's transitioning out of it with AI and all that kind of stuff. And if I'm talking about wine, food, and AI generated boobs, I think those are three things that you got to try. So it fits the bill, and she's one of my favorite people in the world. So Lisa Ann will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Outside of that, we're going to be doing some work with a steakhouse that wants to do some dry aging stuff with me. I'm going to bring Cons to that. Fights and I might be following up with the smash burger versus pub burger debate. So there's a bunch of things that we're starting to get into a little bit of a groove here on. You got to try this. So if you like what you're seeing, the only way I can keep it going, 5-star review wherever you watch it, like it on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Drop us a question. We'll answer your questions. And we're going to continue to eat and drink and talk on You Got to Try This. We'll see you next week.